Hey, this is Jim Reed with Next Level Coaching, and you guys know I interview two people a month to get to get tactics and to get content and to get insight about the industry. I think right now, at least we're starting to come out of it, but every originator I talk to has a little bit of doubt about themselves, doubt about them skills, doubt about the company they're with, doubt about the market. But I do think it's coming out of it a little bit. And so what I did was I started calling some of my friends to add them into the mix of people we interview so you can get a feel for the whole market. And so my first one is one of my best friends. His name is Hunter Marckwardt. And best friend is such a weird term because I almost never see this guy. He's a busy guy. He runs a big region. He's an originator. He was a coach with me at the core training, one of the very best of all time at the core training. And you know how I always tell the story, like, let's see, let's ask Hunter. Hunter, how many people were in your graduating class?
My graduating class of
Yeah,
what?
high school.
700?
Oh, that's big. Mine was like 450.
Okay.
How many homies did you have? You know what a homie is, right?
Yeah. I mean, how about this? I had 12 groomsmen.
How many homies did you have in high school? Homies, people you trust, people you call, people you hang out with, people you spend time with, people that pick up the phone when you call. How many homies?
I mean, it's a hard question. I had a lot of homies, but I'd say tight homies, three, four.
Yeah. So, and how many more if you expanded the definition of people that were friends, like friends, not acquaintances, friends,
15.
15. So 750 and you had 15 friends,
Yeah.
right? So you don't meet people that you click with all the time. My lesson in that for salespeople is you're going to have to meet a lot of realtors to find ones that you connect with and stay with. And in the mortgage business, for sure, Hunter's one of my homies. And in my private life, he's one of the people that I confide in. And so I trust him. And besides that, even in the core and everywhere in this industry, there's a lot of false narrative around people's numbers. And I hate it. I hate it because what it does is take someone who's doing well and make them feel like they're not doing well. And let's face it, salespeople are sensitive people. I'm a sensitive person. And you know, you get me on the wrong direction and it can affect my business. So I really feel like one of my jobs is people go in the right direction. Um, and so when I look at numbers, real numbers, there's a few people in the core that I thought were really great, pure originators. I thought Lisa Wells is a great originator. I thought Robbie was a great originator. In his time, Oleg, and for sure, this guy is one of the best originators I've ever met. So like a loan rep, not some guy runs a branch and says he does, 50 million a month and he's really counting everybody's. I'm talking about an originator like all of us. So I asked him to join us. Hunter, how was that? I do a good job?
You did a great job. Great job. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what you're doing right now in your business. Let's start with there. Like how'd you get through the last 2 years? What tactics did you use? And what are you doing now that's working?
What am I doing that's working? I would say, my big thing right now, I'm Bay Area, so I have a chip on my shoulder about units versus volume because I got high loan amounts. But if you do high loan amounts, you don't care about that. You just want units. And if you do units, you just want high loan amounts. But being in the Bay Area, competing during this, I mean, we're doing this in 2024. Um, there's no time, from my opinion, more than today on relational versus transactional and what kind of a business you're operating. And it's like I did a call earlier for some folks in our division where it's like if you are on the transactional side of the business, you might as well work for a call center, and you might as well understand that that is the only choice you have because of the competitive nature of our business. If you go to the relationals, to answer your question, I have built our business off of the relational side, and putting a process around that where our clients, I mean, I talk to every lead for 30 minutes. Our pre-approval calls are just dialed in. There is no question. We talked to someone. I did a lead call yesterday with someone for a half an hour, found out the reason that they're buying is because they've got a baby coming. That baby is due August 20th of 2024. We've already got a gift in the mail for them. Like, it's that type of attention to detail to make people feel like you are part of their team. Jimmy, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, but I can't emphasize enough. You have to believe, you got to believe that your business partners, I say it every day. If you don't believe that I'm going to have if you don't believe that I'm going to have you be more successful as your lender, you shouldn't work with me. And if you're a buyer and you don't believe you got a better chance of home ownership with me as your lender, you shouldn't work with me. And the key is not just that statement. That's just a statement. The question is, what are the tactics underneath both of those statements that exist? And if you can't answer those right now, I think you're in trouble. So I would say for everybody, you've got to be able to answer why someone says, if a realtor says, Jimmy or Hunter, I genuinely believe that you helped me be more successful. I need to say, okay, why is that? And it's the same for a buyer. So that's what I would be challenging everyone on right now. That's what's helped us succeed. And I will say this, as crappy as the year felt, my boss told me, I didn't know this. We've got crazy analytics in our company. And he told me I doubled my market share in 2023. I didn't know that, but I did. And I think it has to do with how we're looking at the
You just
business
said a bunch of stuff. So I got three things I want to ask you about. So the first one is you talk to new leads for 30 minutes.
every time. When I hang, you and I have a 1 hour call. Literally, I have to hang up with you 1 minute early because I've got a lead call that's in my calendar for 30 minutes. Then I got 30 minutes of open time, and then I got another minute lead call for 30 minutes.
Right. And then you have a team that does the rest of the consultation and all the paperwork. So you just spend 30 minutes building rapport and getting to know what they need and who they are. Am I right?
Yes.
What they need, who they are, and building rapport.
Yeah, what they are, who they like, and gently helping them understand who I am and why they might choose us compared to someone else, right?
Why
So
is
it's
that?
like, huh?
Why is that? How do you, why should I use you?
Because but with the way that we handle everything, you will have a better chance of home ownership when we're all done. What does that mean? It means this consultation with just us talking right now to understand your wants and needs. Later on down the road, it's our pre-approval process and making sure that we get you fully underwritten ahead of time so that we'll work. Because Jimmy, I got to tell you, it's not like I want to make sure that you're happy and the buying agent's happy. You know, Dana referred me to you. That's why we're here together.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure the two of you are happy. But I also want you to think about what it's like if you're a listing agent with a seller and you're looking at 5, 7, 10 different offers. What are they doing to accept? What are we doing to get your offer accepted compared to someone else's offer? And that's where we deliver and that's where we execute. And for you as the buyer right now, it's just about you having total clarity on what our process looks like, on what the cash to close is going to look like, what the payments are going to look like on these different on 4 different price points that you're interested in, and making sure you feel good about everything.
So I think that a lot of loan officers skip that. Like when you put them in the position of being the seller and having 6 offers and what's going to make them pick one offer or the other, they don't even talk about that in the presentation. So what do you guys do to get your offers accepted? What's 3 or 4 big things you do? I think one of them is that you get them through underwriting before they make offers. Sounded like you said that. What else? Like, hold on a minute. I just want to kind of lift you up a little bit. People think people with big loan amounts of loans are easier. Hunter does jumbo. That's like doing FHA because each investor has a different set of guidelines and you have to know them inside and out. And you got to be able to place the loan with the right person. And then there's price sensitivity. So all loans are tough. So if anybody's sitting there thinking it ain't that, he doesn't know, it's harder for me, that's a bunch of not true stuff. So tell me what you guys do to get offers accepted.
By the way, it's a nightmare. Jumbo loans are a nightmare. If I could be born somewhere else.
I always say this, hey, did you think getting rich was going to be easy?
Yeah, well said. Yeah. So I try to make it relatable to everyone else because I will say this, as long as I've been doing it, we're the top. I mean, I will tell you, like, I work with the best realtors in our market, right? I carry a very good reputation. I do everything that I say I'm going to do. So what are we going to do to get you? Like, there's getting your offer accepted and there's making sure you feel comfortable with it. So as an example, every single time you write an offer, I don't care if it's a 1.2 purchase price, a 1.35, a 1.425, whatever, we're going to customize the presentation again, based on where the rates are today, to make sure that you're comfortable with the payments, make sure you're comfortable with the cash to close. That's on your side of it. We're also customizing every single letter. It sounds like people say they do it all the time. They don't. So I'm going to reach out to the listing agent. I will literally be willing to meet with the seller every single time to explain to them why they would accept our offer over other people. And I will tell you this, Jim, like I would want you to be committed to me at that point, because if you're not, if they're accepting our offer based on our reputation, I can't have that switch. It's totally okay for you to want to go a different direction if that's what you decide you want to do. But just know that, like, don't, like, once our offer goes in with my name on it, that's when I would ask you to be committed to me. So sorry, I'm kind of doing a combination of
No,
role
do
playing
it.
here as
No,
well
go
as,
on, but no, go.
but I've been going all day, so I'm all wound up.
Go.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, what else do we do? I mean, it's our local
Yeah, but
reputation.
hold on
It's
right there. So like, good, the bad, and the ugly in leads. Did you do your conversion rate last year, lead to close? Do you know what it is?
yeah, it's 23.
That's the highest I've heard.
Okay, it's because I think it's terrible, but
It's the
okay.
highest I've heard. Siggy's was 18.
Yeah,
Most of the people I coach are 15 to 18. Now I'm used to 22, 23, and the really good people like you used to be around 30, 32, right?
yep.
So everybody's conversion rate went down, but yours is still the highest I've talked to. And I'm going to say to people listening, the reason I think one of the reasons is because you just did a takeaway close right up front. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if you had 22%, that means you had 78% either not use you or not qualify.
Yep.
It's a frustrating number to talk about, but your sanity is important. And so if you're a loan rep and you're listening and you're above 20% lead to fund, you're doing good. Yeah, you can get better and tweak it, but don't tear apart the program. Like, don't think you stink and beat yourself up. Just try to get a little better.
Well, and I would say this too. How many people actually know their numbers? I guarantee you it's 1 out of 10 best case actually know their numbers. Because the other thing, when you talk about being hard on yourself, like in this environment where you have such, like for me, there's so little inventory. The question is, if you have 100 leads in front of you that came in over the course of last year, hopefully it's more like 200, maybe 300 leads. Question is whether or not you know where all of those leads are right now because of your communication with them, right? If you're not in communication with them, do you know that they went somewhere else? Do you know that they decided not to buy? Do you know that they're still wanting to buy? They just haven't found the right property yet. Like, knowing, to me, I get comfortable when I know where I stand with different relationships, right? And
dude, I have this lady work for me, #1 in her market, not even close. Super frustrated because brokers are kicking her ass. Complete false narrative. They're not, but it feels like it, right? And so what you're saying is, hey, no, don't do that. Find out the data.
yeah,
And then make your decisions off the data. Know what happened to all your leads. Know where they went. Know what you could have done different. Wow, that was really good. We could stop right there.
emotional data is not data. It's stupid.
Emotional data is not data. Sometimes I like it though. It gets me all fired up.
Oh yeah, no, same here.
It's a terrible decision-making tool. Like you will drive it in the ditch. Every time you will drive your business in the ditch using emotional data.
I literally, Jimmy, I mean, you want to just talk, just so you know that like, I just got I got a text from someone that a great realtor of mine was having lunch with a lender. And I got all freaked out. Like, I mean, it's like, now when I think through it, like I literally know these two people, they're friends. They're just friends. You know what I mean? And like, I'm getting all worked up. Like, I'm literally like, oh my God, they're conspiring against me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. But if you don't, anyway, just don't get wrapped up in dumb stuff.
No, I think knowing the difference between emotional data and real data and making decisions based on that is humongous.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean I have another question. I know because you've already said like enough for us to learn. So I want to like dig into one more thing. Like transaction versus relational. Transaction is work at a call center because it's price driven. Relational is have a value proposition. Why should realtors use you? Why should buyers use you? Don't be a doormat, which was your takeaway close. Like, hey, once I get a letter and get your offers accepted, that's it. We're together. And being willing to say that to them, right?
Yep.
Like I pulled my pre-approval letter. I've called the listing agent and said, hey, I pulled my letter. They're not using me. I don't know if they
100%.
lost their job. I don't know what happened, but they're not using me and I can't put my name on this no more.
Yep.
Tell them that too. Call them and tell them. 100%.
Yep.
Like, don't be a doormat. So, so a third, the third, good, the bad, the ugly, right? The good, the people who good and use you and like you, the ones who use you for information and are never going to use you, and the ones that are fun but hopeless and just ain't never going to buy a house. It
Yep.
happens to even you, right?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Well, people think it don't happen to
The
everyone.
more, well, the more people you talk to, the more it happens.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The bigger you get, the more of law of averages plays, not the less. It
Yes.
cracks me up. So then
Yes.
another thing I hear people say is, well, how can he spend that much time with clients and fill up his greatness trackers? And I got, I got this big struggle right now with some of my students where they're like, I'm like, dude, I spend an hour and a half with borrowers. You do 30 minutes and you have, I hope she doesn't watch this, the best team member that actually is better than you, no offense, when it comes to the loan.
Yep.
And been with you forever. And that's not normal. So you can't really teach that.
Right. I
So
agree.
for most people that are listening, they got to be you and her.
100%.
Which means they got us like, that's me right now. I'm re-engaged in originating and I'm building up a team, but I don't have that. The truth is I never did. Not very many people did, Hunter. So like Todd had it with me and you have it with her. It means a lot. So I spend an hour and a half with clients. And people think I'm nuts. How are you going to do a lot of loans doing that? I say, how are you not going to do a lot of loans? Because
Well, yeah, I mean, it's about conversion ratios at the end of the day. And I think also when you just break things down to the most basic levels, you're going to make, I think two calculations that are super important. One, like for me to know every lead that I do, depending on the year, is worth between 950 and 1,200 bucks for me personally. Okay.
so how'd you do that?
Well, I just you take your income divided by the amount of leads that you got last year, and that tells you what your lead per lead count is. Separate whatever, whatever your LO
I got
production.
you. I just want them to hear it. So take your
Yeah,
W2 income divided by your number of leads. That's how much each lead was worth. And the question is, are you treating it that way?
exactly. And then so for me, the lead, that's just the lead, right? Some of these leads suck. Someone calls me, hey, Hunter, I don't like you. I say, I don't like you either. That was still worth $1,000 because it's still in the equation of the average lead, right? So it was still, my question is like, did I get on that phone call with $1,000 worth of energy to convert it? I might not have, right? We don't always, but you still got to know the numbers. And then for me, it's one thing with having big loan amounts. My average commission per loan is about $6,000 a pop. So it's like, okay, did I act like that on my so the point is for you to sit there and say, is it worth an hour and a half of your time? The answer is yes. I mean, the question is, what else would you be doing that's worth more? And the answer is probably nothing.
Well, it's one of the things they say because we coach. My program is a lot like the program we were in. It's a little different, but
Yeah.
we use the greatness tracker, right? We're tracking sales activity and there the common misconception is that they got to have more time, spend less time on leads and deals because they got to have more sales time to be able to grow. And I'm like, dude, you sell from the process, man. You sell from the lead. Like when the lead loves you and you ask them, hey, could you share with the realtor how you're feeling about us over here? Like, you don't have to be all like super cheesy salesy. We get all that, you have to do all that. You just gotta be like, hey, you mind sharing how you're feeling? That's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
They call the realtor and tell him, Hunter's the best, man. I think I'm going over his house for dinner tomorrow. He's got this green, like people don't see the value in that. I don't know how to get it through. How do I get that through to people?
I think you have to look at the relationships that you have and the relationships. I mean, when I think of like people say like, well, I don't want to. I don't like asking for referrals either. Like I like when you think about it,
like I can't stand it.
But when I think of like a painter that I like, or a mechanic that I like, or a financial advisor that I like I'm actually excited to give them to refer them. You know what I mean? So it's like I always say to people, it's like I don't think you should ask for a referral unless you deserve it. But if you deserve to ask for a referral, you should. And you can do it in your own way and you can do it without, I'm never going to say, Jimmy, are there any, do you know two people that I can talk to today that would benefit from my personal value proposition? It's like that stuff just, you know what I mean? Like those words would never come out of my mouth. If you sit there and go, Hunter, I got to tell you, man, I've dealt with a bunch of lenders. It's always sucked. You're different. It's okay for me to say, Jim,
Thank you.
I appreciate you saying that. I want you literally, if someone that you are our ideal client. Like when we look at our ideal client, there's a picture of Jim Reed, and we literally have what our ideal client looks like, and you represent our ideal client. You probably attract other people that are like you. So if someone brings up the word, I want to borrow money, I want you to think of me, and I want you to have them call me. I will talk to them about refinances, HELOCs, mortgages, primary homes, second homes, whatever it is, I'm always happy to. If I don't say that, you won't think about it. I've had people tell me they don't know that I do refis. They didn't know I do second homes. They didn't know I do this. Just
Drives me
know that if
nuts.
anyone talks about money, I want to help.
That's awesome. So, what are the best tactics you have to help be valuable with your realtors? So we covered borrowers, I thought pretty well. So with your realtors, like I always say in sales, it's charming. You're pretty charming. Catering, you could work on the catering with me. Just kidding. Caring, you definitely care about me. Like charming, catering, and caring. But it sounds super simple, but that's you.
Well, thanks, buddy.
I think
it's more.
I think all three of those things. I know you're realtors because once in a while, I think you actually referred me. I did a deal. No, I did a deal in your market. Sorry, with a realtor that uses you, and they love you. I'm doing my Tuesday updates. They're like, hey, I already know about Tuesday updates. I go, hey, I would never ever put my fishing pole in Hunter's Lake. I'm not doing that. I'm taking care of you because he's my friend. Okay, they calm down a little bit.
But by the way,
your realtors love you. It was a lady. I'll remember her name in a minute. It was a lady, and she had blonde hair. I'll remember her in a minute. Her name will come to me. So what, like with your realtors, like my big singular focus. I believe in singular focus because I think I'm ADHD. I think salespeople are sensitive and easily distracted. So what I want is people to have a singular focus, and the singular focus is leads from 9 new realtors by the middle of the year. Because I think there's 60% of the lenders who aren't in the business anymore. There's probably something like that in real estate. Something like that, right? 40–50% of the realtors are gone from 2 or 3 years ago. What do you think?
By the way, do we know that it's 60%? I use that word today. I use that number today on lenders.
I got the statistics from NMLS.
Sweet.
So it's licensed.
Okay.
Don't mean they can't come back. I'm not guaranteeing.
No, I love that.
I'm talking about 60% of the people who were supposed to renew did not renew. And so with realtors, it has to be some number, right? I don't know what it is, 30, 40, 50% of them don't do real estate anymore. Probably until the phone rings, right? And someone needs a real estate deal. But so that's why my singular focus for loan officers is get leads from 9 new agent referral partners by the middle of the year. New ones you've never got leads before. And don't do that instead of taking care of your current ones on top of. First of all, do you think that's good leadership? Do you think that's the right focus?
Yeah.
My gosh, that was a little scary for me because I didn't pre go over that with you. I just think there's so many of my realtors that aren't doing business right now that I'm waiting for them to give me a lead and I'm never gonna get it.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like, first of all, don't call people and ask for a lead because you don't deserve it and they don't have one. So all it does is it's like asking me for money and I'm broke. It's like, seriously, I mean, so I think you got to be, I mean, the communication on the realtors, it is hard right now. And everyone, I mean, it's like none of this is easy, right? I mean, none of it's like, it's not like you and I got our silver bullets in the back pocket. Like, oh, I'll just bring up this and I'll get 6 more leads or 6 more meetings. It doesn't happen. With that being said, I do think that you say, how do you benefit realtors? I mean, there's tactics that we can use. I mean, there's tactics that I can say, like, I can give you an example. One of the things that I say, and I mean, and we do to every new realtor is we literally will never leave you. Like when we go through the process, we want to convert our opportunities. We want our clients to feel Like they got nowhere else to go as the lender. You referred them to me, so I'm not letting them go somewhere else. It does happen. A client calls us, they ask for another pre-approval, they want us to send it to another realtor, whatever. I just want you to understand, because it's come up in the past, that would never happen with us ever. I will always walk away from a client to support you. So please know that. So just if people are just looking for things to say, and by the way, I mean that, but if you just wanted a tactic on what is going to pique someone's interest, that helps making them feel like a partner. I also say things like, we treat your leads like you are handing us your livelihood on a silver platter, right? Like that's how we look at the opportunities that you give us. And then I would also say, to sabotage the competition, does your existing lender feel the same way? Right? Like because I do say, I don't, Jimmy, the thing I do say literally every single day is, I need you to believe you're going to be more successful with me as your lender, or you shouldn't use me. The only
I've
thing
heard
I
you
would
say it.
ask,
I've heard you say it. I can't tell you how many times.
1,000 times, but I also say to them, if it's a new opportunity, I would say to them, the only thing I would ask, Jim, is, do you think your existing lender, now that you've been in a relationship with them for 5 or 7 years, do you think they feel the same way? Do they treat your opportunities the same way when I say that? And that is from a sales process where you say, well, some people say inevitably, well, why, what do you mean? Like, what makes you more valuable, right? And that is when you need to have the answers. But me being more valuable is having a client believe that they have a greater chance of home ownership with me as their lender, because then that makes us stick together, right? We are a team. We need to convert more opportunities together than you would with someone else. Pro.
Hold on, I'm writing this down. If you guys aren't writing this down, you're knuckleheads. Hold on. Client's ownership. I know it's recording, but I don't care. When I write things down, I do them. Did you have any secret tactics that you're paying them money, that because you're Hunter at your company and you're a big shot, you get special favor? Did you say anything that you can't deliver on? Did you talk about meter beat price policies? None of that. It's the things that you don't say as a loan officer that you take for granted. Like I always say, like we as a loan officers, I as a loan officer assume people know more than they do. And my best version of me as a loan officer is when I think of myself as something I learned from Lisa: educate, communicate, close on time, in that order. And I think the same thing happens, it sounds to me like, when you're in front of a realtor. Like, you're educating them on what you do, and there's nothing magical about what you do other than you're super thorough. You take a couple extra steps to protect them, and you take the time to get their clients to be loyal, so they don't got to worry about them wallowing all around, leaving them for another lender, and then that lender referring them to another realtor. But you just talk about it. Everybody else just doesn't even talk about it.
You also have to think, I think you and I were laughing about this. I used this example a while ago, but we were talking about like what the movie What Women Want. You could replace What Women Want with where Mel Gibson can hear everything that women are saying, and it's driving him nuts because he's trying to date all these women, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's a total cheese dick," and he thinks he's super cool, but like that's what the woman said. You know what I mean? Like, we say things that we want to hear versus what the realtor wants to hear and needs to hear, right? So it's like, I'll come in, yeah, I'm a $150 million producer, I do X amount of units, blah, blah, blah. If I'm a realtor, I'm thinking, that's great, congratulations, you're too busy for me, right? So
one of the two.
Or yeah, I mean, so anyway, I mean, the bottom line is you have to think, what is someone not just what do they want to hear, what do they need to hear, and are you delivering them that information? So it is asking them questions like, how do you want to be referred, right? Like, if I'm talking to a client about you, what do you want me to say? Right? Just, I mean, these are simple things, but it's just like,
you know what's running through my mind that I'm going to add to my questions I meet with new realtors and all this stuff, but one of them is, have you ever lost a buyer because they didn't choose your lender? Because it's happened to all of them. They refer a client to a lender and they don't like that lender, and then somehow they drift to another lender and that lender is strong and gets them to use their realtor.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what
did you ever do a
that's
deal with a
15
lender,
grand,
or
that's
did you
15
ever
to
have a
20
lender,
grand.
or did you ever lose a client because the lender didn't tell you they went somewhere else?
Yeah.
Right? A lender is a client is going to tell a realtor and a lender two different pieces of information. And if we're not on the same page with what they said to both of us, it's massively important.
Dude,
The other
Tuesday
thing
updates,
from
when you sniff it on the Tuesday updates, like if you're doing Tuesday update calls to your pre-approved borrower and you sniff their drifting or you sniff they're unhappy with a realtor. I remember I went to one of Lisa's class, and she had a process for that, but that's bringing value. Like it's more than like what's the commission on a deal? 20 grand? That's more than paying for Zillow, just making them not lose one buyer.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, just, I mean, other things that they want to hear that you have to deliver is proactive communication versus reactive communication. If I get an incoming phone call from you, Jim, asking about where a lead is or where we are in process, there is something seriously wrong. So whether or not you're by yourself or whether or not you have a team, if an incoming phone call comes in or an incoming email asking for some kind of a status update, they've either never worked with us before or we are doing something wrong. But I say literally that same thing to a realtor, right? So they're going, how many times have I had to call my lender to ask for an update on where we are with the lead? Right.
I
And by the way,
remember
when
when,
you talk about the 60% of the people getting out of the business, I'll talk after this, but it's like I say proactive versus reactive, but including people watching this right now, like you're either on your heels or you're on your toes. And most people in this industry are on their heels. They're either trying to figure out how they're literally probably one of the 60% of the people trying to figure out, they just haven't jumped yet. They're trying to figure out where they're going to go.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, when you're in that mode, I always bring up this example with Kim and I, like we're at a Mexican restaurant. There's 3 servers, 1 bartender, 1 busboy, and no clients. And guess how long it took us to get our chips? 15 freaking minutes. And the point is, when you're slow, you suck. And when you're on your heels, you don't call leads back like you should. You don't update people like you should. You don't do all that stuff. So it's like, so I'm having that conversation with people to say, like, I am on my toes. I am getting market share because I want to, like, this is the time to crush my competition because I don't believe they're serving you like they should. And I want an opportunity.
Dude, that is so good. Just those stories in front of a referral partner are so good. Um,
It gives them context, by the way. Like everybody should really tell a story because it gives you context. It's the same with the whole thing with like, I want you to imagine a listing agent and a seller and sitting in their kitchen looking at different offers. They're not worried about Wells Fargo at 5.5%. They're worried about Wells Fargo on a 30-day close and I'm on a 15-day close.
totally.
Right.
I used to never want when we've been lucky enough to hang out with super top originators for a long time and pick up a bunch of skills. And I remember, I was part of that group for 20 something years, right? And in the beginning, it was a much smaller group. And we were talking about doing Tuesday updates and and talking about a professional presentation and saying something like you just taught me again, which was, if you ever have to call me for an update, I'm doing something wrong. And I didn't want to say it because I felt like I was setting myself up for failure. I could never achieve the level of communication that would make them happy. Or frankly, that I was too easily distracted and would forget to do stuff. I said, whatever. I didn't want to do it. And what I found is once I took a leap of faith and just started making promises about what I was going to do, it was easier for me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm gonna call you every Tuesday. Like, I've said it so many times that, man, now if I don't call on Tuesdays, I literally get sick. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't handle it. And um, all you gotta do is mess up a couple times and realize the value of keeping your promises to a referral partner. and then you'll do it more and more, and you'll get more and more business. Like, I keep looking for something that you're teaching today, Hunter, that is like something
New.
magical. And it's just that you're willing to say the simple things that the client wants to know about. It's not that you're willing to partner with them on Zillow or work open houses for 5 hours with them every Saturday and Sunday because that's what they want. Or
By the way, not a bad idea if you're just getting started, just not where I want to be right now. Now, by
yeah,
the way, if I was just
I
getting
like
started,
working open houses, but not one open house for 5 hours. I like stopping by at 5 or 6,
yeah,
being available by cell phone, come back by if you get somebody, but sitting in one place, that's just uncomfortable.
yeah,
It's just uncomfortable. Um, but anyways, it's just refreshing. So, first of all, you've been super generous with your time. So thanks.
thanks.
I really, really appreciate it. You're going to help a lot of loan officers that follow this. If you were going to say maybe one last thing for loan officers moving forward about either the business or how to grow or most important sales tactic, anything, like, what would you say? I know it's pretty wide, buddy, but take a swing.
I'm talking to my folks about this right now. I don't know if this is going to help, but I think self-reflection matters right now. And I think like you gotta ask yourself big questions. Like I am right now asking everybody, and I'm kind of categorizing everybody into 4 different quadrants. And the quadrants are producing with a positive attitude, producing with a bad attitude, not producing much with a good attitude, and not producing much with a bad attitude.
Mm.
And where are you? Like your
Oof.
company is looking at you in one bucket, and you're looking at now. The truth is, the people that are in the top bucket of like decent, and by the way, decent producers right now. I mean, it could be 2 freaking loans a month. You know what I mean? I mean, it's been rough, right? So, but the point is, most of the people that are in the top bucket probably don't think of themselves as in the top bucket. But you got to be with what I'm thinking personally, like from a leadership perspective, Jim, is like I want to make sure I'm spending 50% of my time with the people that are committed to being successful and are working to be successful with a good attitude. The people that don't have a good attitude but are being successful just off of sheer discipline, whatever, I want to spend probably 25% of my time trying to figure out what we can do to fix their issues, either with themselves or with me. The people that are that don't have a lot of production, that have a positive attitude, it's like, what do we have to do to give you the tactics to grow right now? Because hopefully you're going to do them. And those people you're going to spend 15% of your time on. And the people that are in the 4th bucket, which is bad attitude, they think everything's everyone else's fault. They get about 5% of my time to figure things out or to get out. And like, that's how I'm trying to look at everything. But I think it requires both people to be on the same page with what. So like when you're talking about being a coach, I'd be coaching people right now on what bucket do you think you're in, and what do we need to do to get you. The end result is to be in bucket number 1, which is good production, good attitude. And those people deserve a lot of time and energy to grow further. But if you're not there right now, you got to recognize what bucket everyone's in and adjust and make a plan and get it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's scary to hear because there's a lot of people who used to do a lot of business that aren't anymore. They have a bad attitude.
Totally.
And they think that it's everybody else's fault, to your point. And they should be thinking about, how do I get in the top left bucket?
Yeah.
First, they got to get in the bottom left bucket, and then they got to get in the top left bucket. Like,
Yep.
you don't fix your business before you fix your attitude. Wow, that was really good. That was really good, buddy. Really good. All right, you guys. Thank you, Hunter, for your time, man. Next Level
All right,
Coaching,
brother.
appreciate you, bro. Super good stuff. And if there's ever any way I can repay you, all you got to do is ask.
Oh, you will.